If you're familiar with the North American box art for Super Mario Kart, it used the slogan, "Where racing becomes an adventure." But there's another game equally deserving of that tagline, and that's Rare's charming kart race released on the Nintendo 64 in 1997, Diddy Kong Racing. As a game that went through some drastic changes during its development, starting out as a real-time strategy title, to switching genres in favor of a fun adventure-based racing game, and then finally deciding to acquire the rights to license Diddy Kong as a means of improving the game's visibility to a broader Nintendo audience, the choices that led to the final product paid off. Because while many players like me showed up for Diddy Kong, I stayed for everything else. A kart racer with multiple playstyles, a joyful vibe from the designs of its characters, tracks, visuals, and music, and of course, a fully featured adventure mode that combined racing with exploration for a fresh take on a single-player mode. It's another one of my all-time favorite racers, and a game that's just so happy and charming, it never fails to put a smile on my face every time. So with introductions out of the way, this is Diddy Kong Racing, a feel-good racing adventure. Diddy Kong Racing is all about racing with Diddy Kong and his friends in a trio of vehicles across an island of racetracks, using power-up balloons to help you reach first place. The game's controls are easy to understand, especially those coming from Mario Kart 64, so there's simple gas and steering, occasional brakes, an item button, and a power slide button to handle tighter turns, all using the same buttons you're familiar with. A trick new to this game is tapping the brakes while sliding to make even sharper turns on a dime. Now where things go off the beaten path, so to speak, is that the game features more than just racing on four wheels. In addition to cars for all-terrain road racing, you can also race in hovercrafts that skim across the sea, and planes that soar through the skies, which bring new driving styles to the table, and often access sections of the track that you traditionally couldn't reach. Hovercrafts bob and weave while in water and waves, but can also traverse over land without slowing down. They have much more sensitive handling when compared to cars, so I tap on the analog stick instead of holding it down to take turns. Instead of power sliding, the slide button makes hovercrafts hop, and make even tighter turns to assist with maneuvering on floating rocks and obstacles. Planes introduce verticality to races, frequently alternating between going high and low to fly through obstacles and pick up items. When you require some quick aerial acrobatics, the power slide button causes planes to quickly turn on their sides, or ascend and descend, and tapping the button twice will do a barrel roll for flair. Hitting things while airborne is the most hindering to a race though, as hard contact with any walls or attacks from an item will send you straight to the ground, costing you precious seconds before you can take off again. Items come in 5 colors of balloons, which correspond to their effect. Red gives you missiles to shoot in front of you, green leaves traps behind you to slow down anyone on your tail, blue gives you speed boosts, yellow gives you a temporary shield, and rainbow gives you a magnet that pulls you toward a nearby racer. While instant gratification can be nice and necessary at times, if you choose to hold onto your item and collect another balloon of the same color, you can power up your item, which improves the item's abilities, and can also be done a third time for an even stronger item. So a single shot missile from a red balloon can go to a homing missile, to a round of 10 single missiles that can be rapid fired and replenished with another red balloon. Or my personal favorite, 3 blue balloons granting the ultimate speed boost. We've gone into so much detail on just the vehicles and items that I haven't even mentioned the track elements yet. In line with the Donkey Kong Country games, bananas are scattered across every track, increasing your speed with each one you pick up, and getting hit takes a few away, just like how coins worked in Super Mario Kart. And finally, there are zippers, which give you speed boosts like the blue balloons. While just driving over one normally is fast enough, the well-known technique to getting the most out of your boost is to let off the gas completely before you run over a zipper, as the boost you'll get will last much longer. You'll know if you got the best boost when the exhaust fire turns green with rainbow smoke instead of the normal purple. This trick also works for the boost you get from balloons, which makes picking them up even more enticing. While all the depth behind Diddy Kong Racing's gameplay and mechanics are impressive, it's all easy to understand after a race or two, and most importantly, it's all so much fun. Taking place on scenic Timbers Island, where the racetracks are the island's pride and joy, there are 4 areas to race around and explore. From a dinosaur jungle, to a Christmas-themed snowscape, a sunny beach coast, and a forest castle village, plus a 5th secret world in space, there's plenty of racing to be done, with 4 tracks per area, or 20 in total. During this game's development, at one point it was a Disney World-inspired racing game, and with the varied and whimsical nature of this game's worlds and tracks, I believe that inspiration remained intact. Instead of traditional racing circuits, most tracks have an organic feel to them, with a lot more roads made of dirt, sand, and water, with the occasional tarmac. Tracks that share scenery or course elements with others in an area also help make them feel like they're all part of the island. The track layouts can also vary significantly depending on which vehicles are allowed. Most tracks accommodate for 2 or sometimes all 3 types, with some offering completely different routes or approaches to a course. While landlocked tracks offer sections like the Loop-de-Loop and Walrus Cove, tracks without a lot of roads like Boulder Canyon give you a taste of white water rafting, or Hot Top Volcano where you can either fly through the caverns or ride directly on the lava. While the 3 vehicle types are an interesting idea on its own, it's the tracks that make the most out of their playstyles. The game is called Diddy Kong Racing for a reason, as Diddy Kong was intended to be what drew players into this racing adventure. But joining him are a colorful cast of adorable speedsters to check out, with a starting roster of 8 characters. Not sure where else to mention this, so I'll bring it up now. I absolutely love this character select screen. Instead of a group of portraits on a grid, the menu is instead the characters physically next to each other, happily dancing along to the background music, and passing around a sign to show who you're selecting. As a kid who only had Mario Kart 64 to play at the time, racing with some new faces behind the wheel was a breath of fresh air, though I've always stuck with Diddy for the most part, because I do enjoy playing as a good main character. Aside from the other tie to the Donkey Kong Country games being Crunch's another Kremling, the rest of the cast is brand new to this game, and are either denizens of Timbers Island or friends of Diddy Kong that he asked to tag along. This includes the island's tiger namesake Timber, with fellow islanders Pipsy, Bumper, and Tip Top. As for Diddy's pair of pen pals, we know them now as 2 of Rare's iconic characters, Banjo and Conker, but this game served as their debuts before they went on to star in their own games. There's also 2 unlockable characters, Drumstick, the island's best racer, and TT, the fastest clock you've ever met. Each character also comes with their own vehicle color, with a bit of a different mix of color choices for anyone who played a lot of Mario Kart 64, with Diddy in blue being the main character color, and nothing in red is playable until you've unlocked Drumstick. As for the vehicles themselves, they're all small and charming with their proportions, but still look like they can really move in a race. I especially like the car's interesting shape, kind of like a drivable roller skate, and choice of red wheels with a spoiler to create something new, instead of going for something that skews closer to a Mario Kart. That's not to say the dual lever controlled hovercraft and the open cockpit plane designs don't also deserve praise for their looks as well. How each vehicle feels when racing also depends on the character, as they have unique balances of acceleration, turning ability, top speed, and weight, so different tracks can call for a certain character to help you win a race. I've said this multiple times already, but everything about how this game looks and sounds is just so happy that I don't know how you couldn't be happy while playing it. The game's art direction does skew a lot more kid-friendly, with very bright and colorful graphics, but also still looks in line with Rare's brand of character and environment designed for their games during the 90s. The character models are fully polygonal, and the vehicles are mostly polygonal, with moving parts like the wheels and propellers animated with sprites instead. The game's overall sense of speed isn't the same kind of zippiness when compared to its contemporaries. I think it was for players to be able to react to obstacles for the hovercrafts and planes without things moving too fast, and have the speed be consistent across all 3 vehicles. A fun visual touch is the use of Nintendo's and Rare's logos on a few of the tracks. The directional prompts for upcoming turns or splits on the track, like a rally race, make for a neat and useful visual aid. Rare's games during the reign on Nintendo consoles were memorable for a lot of qualities, their soundtracks chief among them, with this game composed by David Wise. The jolly and whimsical, yet fast-paced melodies fit this game's approach to racing, and not only put the player in a good mood, but also in the mood to go fast. Each world has its own musical style for its 4 tracks, giving each area a sense of consistency, though there are some universal instrument choices like organs, xylophones, and those peppy drum samples. There's also a copious amount of leitmotif used with this game's main theme, as variations of it play at many points throughout the game, like how in the character select screen, everyone has their own rendition of the theme, played with instruments that fit their personality, which changes as you move to each character. While on the topic of characters, most of them stick to cute animal grunts and giggles, not saying that many words beyond their names. But a neat tidbit about who's voicing them is that they're all Rare employees, with some samples that continue to be used for their respective characters who've made appearances in other games. Back to the dynamic music, a quality found in a lot of Rare's games at the time, it also occurs in a few other parts of the game as you're racing from one area to another. Out of everything that gives Diddy Kong Racing its good vibes, I believe its music is the most quintessential ingredient for bringing out the smiles. Well, at first glance, Diddy Kong Racing's 2 modes shown on the main menu may not look like there's a lot to do, but there's plenty more to experience than the screen may suggest. Of course, there's the main attraction, the renowned adventure mode. The game's plot revolves around Diddy, Timber, and friends race around the island to become the champion racer that can beat the invading Whizpig, and save the island before Timber's parents get home. That task is easier said than done, as the island's racetracks have been sealed off, and require golden balloons to open them back up, which is where you come in. Your character can drive, hover, and fly freely around the central hub area to explore the environment, making your way to the first gold balloon in front of you to start accessing the worlds where tracks are located. You open doors to new areas and tracks as long as you have as many balloons as the door requires, with Dino Domain and the Ancient Lake track available when starting out. Coming in first place in a race rewards you with a gold balloon, giving you enough to access the next track, repeating the process until you won all 4 in the domain. Your 4 victories will unlock the big door, taking you to a special race against a boss, a giant triceratops named Tricky. Whether you outpace him with speed boosts, or slow him down with projectiles, and avoid falling off the upward spiraling mountain, you have to beat him to the finish line to clear the challenge. From here, you have the freedom to choose what your next step in your adventure will be. You can take on the boss's new challenge by going back into the previous 4 tracks again to clear their silver coin challenges, and then returning to the boss for another race. A silver coin challenge tasks you with collecting 8 silver coins hidden on a track within 3 laps, and you must also come in first to win another gold balloon. On top of the coins tending to be in off-the-beaten-path areas, which also reveal the locations of some shortcuts that you may not yet have discovered, your opponent racers are also much faster the second time around, so these challenges can be quite challenging. When you've won all 4 silver coin challenges, you can face the boss again in a more difficult rematch. Winning a second time will give you a piece of the Whizpig amulet, which you'll need to complete in order to reach the final showdown. Your victory here also unlocks access to this world's trophy race, which you can find by driving to an entryway in the lobby to an empty case. Trophy races have you go through all 4 tracks in the world again in one sitting, pitted against the more difficult opponents, and earning points depending on how well you finished each race. Come in the top 3 in total points by the end of the 4th race, and you win a trophy. Looking around the lobby, you'll find a second large door with a keyhole, which can only be opened by finding a key hidden on one of the tracks. The Dino Domain one is an ancient lake, and is pretty hard to miss. Simply drive to it to collect it, and you can quit the race at this point to immediately unlock the door. Behind this door is a challenge on a battle mode course. Depending on the map, the challenge is either to collect a certain number of objects, or be the last player standing by attacking and defending with items. Coming first here will give you a piece of the TT amulet, its purpose not yet known to you. Speaking of TT, you can find him walking around the lobby, and honking your horn to talk to him will let you check your adventure status, but more importantly, to turn time trials on or off whenever you enter a door to a race. However, if you don't want to spend a lot of time in Dino Domain right now, you can also choose to leave the area and go back to the main hub, and look around for more doors to open. You actually only have to win the first race available at the start to have enough gold balloons to open up the second world, Snowflake Mountain, and decide to win gold balloons on the tracks here instead. As long as you have enough balloons, you can open up new worlds and race on tracks in whatever order you like. You can't drive everywhere around the island though, so to navigate the water and skies, talk to Taj the Genie, and he can change your vehicle for you. As you collect more balloons, and eventually make your way back to the central hub, Taj will also challenge you to some races against him, which take place in the hub area on 3 different routes, 1 for each vehicle. Winning each challenge will also reward you with another gold balloon. Looking around the hub for doors to new worlds aren't the only things to find. There are also 3 more gold balloons hidden around here, and finding them early in your adventure will help keep your balloon count high, so you can open up all 4 worlds sooner. As you finish races in the remaining worlds, Sherbet Island and Dragon Forest, you'll hit doors with some higher balloon counts that will require you to both have the balloons earned in the central hub, and win races in the second round of challenges in the other worlds. Winning boss race rematches for amulet pieces along the way are also necessary. Once you've earned every gold balloon and Whizpig amulet piece found on the island, the opening to challenge Whizpig will unlock, and a relatively straightforward race where the fastest animal wins, with only zippers to help you stay ahead of the massive wizard. While the track itself isn't a difficult layout, it does require hitting every zipper to keep your speed up, and to cross the gaps of water that will slow you down, as Whizpig is incredibly fast, and has a tendency to push you out of the way and into an unfavorable position if you're not moving fast enough. The green boost technique is almost a necessity to win here. But if you can keep up the pace for 3 laps, like I did after about 2 hours of attempts, you're rewarded by having your victory party crashed by Wizpig, who then proceeds to make his exit on a spaceship. Only one more rematch remains, but before that, you'll need to do some more racing on the 5th and final world, Future Funland. The space-themed tracks offer some of the most fun and ambitious courses the game has to offer, from a trench run while dodging lasers on Spaceport Alpha, through drifting through winding caverns followed by a series of not one, but 2 loop-de-loops on Dark Moon Caverns. After completing the final round of silver coin challenges, you'll have every gold balloon, and hopefully before you got here, you also completed the TT amulet from the previous 4 worlds, as you'll need it to open the final door to challenge Wizpig again, this time on a new course with your plane against his rocket. While the track is more involved with obstacles to avoid, you also have items to help you fight back, which I thought made for an easier time all things considered. With Wizpig defeated for good, and Timber's Island saved, all that's left to do is quite a bit more actually. But as this adventure's come to a close, its open-ended structure, combined with its emphasis on collecting key items to progress, a routine that one would find in a 3D platformer, made for quite an entertaining single-player racing experience. Completing Adventure Mode unlocks the Adventure 2 mode, which is another run through the entire adventure from the beginning, but every track is mirrored, you collect silver balloons instead of gold, and the silver coin challenges put the coins in new locations. Should you want to play through the mode again and not do the exact same thing a second time, this mode is for you. All the tracks that you unlocked in Adventure Mode are also playable in the Tracks mode. The same goes for replaying any trophy races or battle arenas. You also have the choice to race with any vehicle that the track allows for, so if you want to revisit some of your favorite tracks with a different ride, you can do so here. You can also toggle time trials here just like in the Adventure lobby, and if you get a low enough time at the end of an attempt, trying the race again will have TT challenge you to beat his even faster time. If you manage to beat all 20 of his records, you'll get to play as him, and with his maxed out stats in every category, it's no wonder why he was so fast. I haven't done this myself yet, I'm using a different save file here for footage purposes. The Tracks mode is also where 2 to 4 players can join in for some racing fun. By the way, whenever you watch the credits roll, you're shown a code at the end that will unlock some secret sheets or options to the game, and these can be entered and toggled on the magic code screen under the options menu. These can make for races with extra large players, maxed out balloon power-ups, 10 bananas at the start for extra speed, and harder computer players all at the same time. While those are perfect for some wacky fun, the most interesting code unlocks the ability to play the adventure mode with a second player, so a friend can join in as you 2 race, explore, and win together. It can be hard for some games that draw inspiration from other well-beloved titles to be judged solely on their own merits, instead of being seen as a watered-down copy. But when you go the way of a game like Diddy Kong Racing, which introduced new ways to race, a new way to play, and wrap it all up in a charming package, it not only stands out amongst the crowd of 90s kart racers, but stands above them as one of the core pillars of the subgenre, and a gold standard in its own right. The game has even gone on to serve as inspiration for other kart racers, including one featuring an orange bandicoot, and possibly even for a certain plumber and blue hedgehog. Diddy's first racing outing is still worth playing if you haven't before. Fingers crossed he gets added to the Nintendo Switch Online service someday. Because if you're looking for something familiar, but fresh with a kart racer, you can't go wrong with Diddy Kong Racing. As always, this has been fun, and I'm already looking forward to covering another amazing racing game. So I hope you'll check out what I've got in store for next time, and thank you for watching.